How's everybody doing tonight? Why is the screen blank? Alright, let's go to this camera while I figure out. Oh, okay. There's a very obvious reason why the screen's blank. It wasn't plugged in. What's less obvious is how I didn't notice that before going online. Alright. Alright. Let's see what it looks like now. Well, now you can watch it boot up. If you want. Oh, it's not booting up either. Alright, let's go to another camera. I'll check back again. Yeah. So, this is what it looks like when it's booting up. That's assuming that it even will complete booting up. It might not, because that looks pretty bad, actually. There we go. Alright. So, that wasn't correct, but it was something. Actually, you didn't get to see it boot up. It normally does this, like, fuzzy look, and then it, like, dissolves. That time it just went straight to that, like, green version. Anyway, now that camera's on. So, this puzzle is only 147 pieces, but we're now dragging it out into a third day. We don't really even have that much. We've got the power here. We've got the base here. I'm not sure if that power is even working. You can turn that, but I don't know. I feel like it needs some, like, wax or something. It's not turning very quickly. It's like pretty bad, right? Oh, and I forgot to plug in that light. Wow, I'm just like totally unprepared tonight. All right, so there's a light there, and I didn't plug it, and I tried to use it yesterday and didn't have any power. So I said I would charge it before tonight, and apparently I didn't. And I don't even know if the light is like broken or if it'll work once it's charged. I guess we're going to find out. All right, turned on. Okay. So that was all just to show you this like side view of this piece, which I don't know. It's like still doesn't seem like that much light. All right, so there it is. It's not moving very well, as you can see. Maybe this is the better camera. All right. It's actually the more I turn it, the better it works. So maybe it just needs a little like loosening up. All right, so let's get going on this puzzle. There's not really that much to it. Got a few pieces here. One of these boards is like almost empty, this one. There's a couple of pieces left. Actually, a few. Three, I think three. I count 1, 2, 3. There's 4, but that's just a little pin, and I believe that's an extra. There's basically 3 pieces there. There's a good amount of pieces here. That looks like the track for the marble run. Doesn't look like that much track, does it? There's more here, more track here. I don't know what this is. Probably corners. And there's some more track here. So actually, we got quite a ways to go. But I think these are kind of going to be easy pieces. I think the track pieces will go quick. All right. And that's the instructions. The instructions we also have loaded, though, on the computer. So the scoreboard, it says day 3 and 501 right now. So the 501, that stands for segment 5, panel 1. So there's the segment 5. But where's panel 1? Okay, here's panel 1. So that's like segment 5, panel 1. So that's where we're going to start. Now, where it says day 3 on the scoreboard, yesterday, apparently, when I turned it on right now, it said day 8. So, like, probably yesterday it said day 8 when it was really day 2. But anyway, maybe I'll put an overlay when I do the compilation video. But anyway, it said day 8, I guess, when it was really day 2. But now it's day 3 and it says day 3. and the topic we've been covering is happiness. I actually didn't think about what I'm going to add to that topic today, but I'm sure I'll think of something. I'm not sure it'll be the second most important thing, but it'll be something. I actually thought of something already, laughing. I'll explain laughing in a minute. Let me just first talk about the instructions here. So we need pieces, 334s, a 33, and a 36. Now, I think the way it works is all light brown pieces are considered A's and all dark browns are considered B's. So we just need to grab those pieces. So, like, they're all in the 30s, but, like, one of them comes from a different board than the others. Anyway, total pieces, 334s, a 33, and a 36. That's 5 pieces. So we're now up to 62 pieces. Kind of wish I did this one last night because we did with 31 pieces. The first day, if we'd done this last night, there would have been 31 pieces 2 days in a row. But I stopped before this panel because it was a new segment, segment 5. Anyway, let's find the pieces while I talk about happiness. So, it's a very simple one. It's actually not the complete version of happiness. By the way, I think this is 33 right here. Yeah, 33. That camera is very easy to read tonight. So, happiness is like a long-term thing, not like pleasure, which is like instantaneous, or joy, which is I don't know if I'm mixing these words up, but at least what I mean when I say happiness is like a sustaining thing. So the element I'm going to mention tonight could be just considered joy, but I'm going to consider it. I'm going to talk about it regardless. All right. I'm just looking. I don't think there's any other pieces on this board. I think I need the other board. So the thing I'll mention tonight is laughter. Because not everyone remembers to do that. So although laughter might seem like a sort of instantaneous pleasure thing, it's also part of long-term happiness because, first of all, if something's making you laugh, you might reflect on it later and it might make you laugh and it might make you feel good. And people who feel good are healthier. Like, it's an important element of health. And then now, of course, anything you do for your health, you check with your doctor. I'm not a doctor, but laughter, you've probably heard the expression, like, laughter is the best medicine. Like, laughing is literally healthy. So, like, if you put on a comedy and watch it, and it actually makes you laugh, you're, like, physically and emotionally healthier when that film ends. How crazy is that? I'm trying to find, is that piece? That piece is, I can't make out what that says. Does that say 33? Can this camera be any, like, worse? All right, there we go. Now it's a little better. I still can't tell what that says. I think it says 33. And then there's another one that says 36, and that's actually one that we need. I think this one is 38, which we're going to need in the next panel. I don't know what this one says. I cannot make out what that says, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. But this one is 36. We definitely need that. And then we need 3 34s, which I didn't see on the other board. There's like a small thing here. Let's see if the 34s are on this. 29, 46. Oh, they're not there. All right, let's check this one again. We must have overlooked them. 61, 32, 61, 46, 24. You know what? Maybe those 34s are on the lighter wood, and it just looks dark in the instructions. Because I don't see them here. So let's try the lighter wood. What are they looking for? 34, right? Let's see if we find some 34s here. 52, 47, 43, 2, 49. There's a 34, and it looks correct. But we need 3 of them. So that might be an extra. And there might be a 3-pack of them somewhere else. Let's check this board. That should be it, right? That's it. There's our 334s. Wow. That took like way much more time and effort than it should have. So we're 12 minutes in and we haven't put a single piece together. But we'll get it. We'll get something done. So probably the TV show that this podcast is closest to is The Joy of Painting, which, by the way, there's that word joy again, which was Bob Ross. But there's a difference. Bob Ross would complete the paintings in 26 minutes. These builds, even the ones that say on the box that they're going to take 3 hours, they usually end up taking longer. So I'm probably doing not a great job. So, the show is less exciting than Bob Ross. How is that possible? All right, I think I'm holding this piece like correctly in terms of the instructions, but there's arrows on the piece, and I don't see arrows on that instruction there. But I don't think you can achieve this angle, right? Now here's the side without the arrows, and I don't think it's possible to achieve this orientation which they show. Now, what do those arrows mean? Is that the direction that the ball is going to go when it's all built? I'm going to assume that it's the arrow side up. See those like arrows on there. Even though the instructions don't show the arrows, which means on other segments, when we looked at the piece, looked at the instructions, saw no ink, and decided that's the correct way to go, that was actually meaningless. Because here, the only way you can do this is ink side up, and the instructions don't show the ink. So that means that the instructions probably just never show the ink, which is kind of bad on the instructions. But that's how they are. All right. This piece is like not going in. What's going on here? Is it only supposed to go in a little? Or is it supposed to go all the way in? I feel like I'm going to break it if I keep pushing on it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to go all the way in. So, we got to make this happen. It's not happening. It needs to happen. It's not happening. All right, there we go. Now it's happening. Okay. And now there's 4 squares. 34 is going 3 of them. I don't know what those arrows are. Those arrows the directions of these 34 pieces? It kind of looks like it because actually I'm not sure. I'll tell you what it looks like looking at the instructions. It looks like this one and this one are one direction and this one's the other direction. But that's not consistent with these arrows. So I'm not sure. Or is it? No, it's not. This one is definitely like sideways in the instructions. All right, now this one in the instructions goes the same way as this one. Sort of like, if you look at it from the angle where the 36 piece, you're looking at the edge, then you're looking at the face of the 34 in the lower corner, but the 34 in the upper corner, you're looking at the edge. It's like not going the same direction, if I'm reading those instructions correctly. It's also entirely possible that it doesn't matter which way you put it in. But I'm trying to follow the instructions, and the instructions have the close pin going in with the edge visible, and the front and back ones going in with the face visible. So that's what we're doing. We're matching the instructions. All right, there we go. Oh, this is interesting. They end up looking the same. Even though this bottom has the piece 36 going through the board, the part of 36 that is visible above the board matches the parts of the 34 that are visible above the board. Except for the one that's sideways, obviously. Actually, that's the one it matches the most. They're both going the same direction. So if you kind of split this piece here, these two are going one direction and these two are going another direction. I don't know if it's going to like make a difference or not, but that's what we got so far. And that was segment 5.1. So now we're moving on to segment 5.2. All right. So we're adding, is that just 3 pieces? 35, 37, and 38. And these are all rails of eventually what I believe will be the marble run. It looks like 35 is the light color wood, and 37 and 38 are the dark color wood, I think. Let's take a look here. Yeah, there's 35 right there. So 35 is the light color wood. Punch that out. Now, 37 and 38. Are they going to be also light color? I thought they looked like dark color, which means they'd probably be on this board. It's impossible to see this board. Yeah, there's 37. No, that's 57. Huh, I don't see 37 and 38 here. Let's check this board. Yeah, there's 38. I think we even knew that that was going to be our... See, now, that means that this is probably 37, which is what I kind of thought when we were looking at it before. But the 7 is upside down, and this 6 is upside down. Maybe the 8 only looks correct because an 8 looks correct from either direction. Like, are we holding this board, like, incorrectly? Okay, yeah. We were holding it upside down and backwards. But the 3 looks the same if you do it upside down or backwards. Or if you do it upside down and backwards, the 3 looks the same and the 8 looks the same. But the 7 looks very different. It looks upside down and backwards. So there's 37 and there's 38. Wow, that's why it was so hard to read before. We were looking at it backwards. I was looking at it backwards. You were probably watching the screen and going, why is this idiot looking at it backwards? Anyway, we got our pieces now, and we should count them. So let's move the counter from 62 to 65. And post anything in chat that you want me to talk about, and we'll talk about it. But otherwise, so we were talking about happiness And in particular, we were talking about laughing. It's laughing makes you happy. Now, what about other emotions? Because if we're saying that laughing is an instantaneous pleasure but a long-term joy, what about other emotions? Do you need to like cry once in a while to be happy? That sounds counterintuitive. But at the same time, you don't want to suppress your emotions. It's a human emotion. But, you know, anger is a human emotion. Is it like, you know, they have anger management. I don't know if the ultimate in anger management is anger elimination. Is anger like always a bad thing? Is it like correct sometimes? You certainly wouldn't want to use it in a manipulative way, but maybe it is correct sometimes. All right, now on this 38, you know you don't have it on the wrong way. If this little, see one side has a tab and the other doesn't, this arrow and this little tab, they sort of go the same direction. So we're like building a piece of the marble run here. It's not seeming to fit on. Oh, there we go. It fit. Seemed like it wasn't going to fit for a second, and then it went. Well, I guess we're going to move on to another section. By the way, that counts as 502 and 503. For some reason, I don't know, like lining it up was 502 and pushing it in was 503. Now 504, it looks like is attaching this thing to the structure. So it's such a close-up view that it's kind of difficult to tell where they even are attaching that. But let's take a look here, and hopefully there's only one place it can go. I think I already see it, like 1, 2, 3. Like that's probably the only spot it can attach to. Right? I don't think it can go anywhere else but there. So let's get it in there. Dropped it. No. You can see there's a circle there. So the marble is probably going to move through this wheel and drop out that circle onto this ramp. And the weird thing about that is it's already pretty low. Like, oh, maybe it's going to end here and then be picked up to the top. That maybe makes more sense. Because, so this wheel isn't really for power. It's just for carrying the marble from the bottom to the top. That's my guess. I think that's what it's going to do. Just trying to find an angle where I could see what I'm doing here. I don't want to push until I know that all the pieces are lined up. And that, I believe that they are right now. Yeah, it looks good. I need some support here because the wheel, I don't want to push on the wheel. I want to push on just the piece that it's connecting to. So I'm using this tool they gave us to support the back of just that piece. Create a backstop there. Alright, is this piece in? I think it could go in a little further. Again, using this piece as a backstop. can't really see if it's in or not. I don't think it is. I think it can go in further. I don't want to break the tower, but I want to get that piece in. It must be in. I can't seem to get it to go in any further. It doesn't look like it's in. It looks like it has another, like, I don't know, 16th or 32nd of an inch to go, but I can't get it to go in further, and I'm afraid if I push harder, it's going to start breaking stuff. So there it is. Presumably, when you crank this, it'll pick up a ball and drop it at the top. Do you want to test that theory? I mean, we have them here. We can test that theory. Let's grab one of these. Is this going to be removed? Because why is this blocked? Like the entrance is blocked? Oh, the arrows are the way the ball moves. I guess there's going to be something else that sort of drops it down in there, which is going to give it some momentum, and it's going to go in there. And then we're going to crank it, and what's going to happen now? I guess it's going to come out the top or something. There it is. Do you see that? Let's replay that. All right, so we're cranking it. It's picking the ball up. It gets to the top, and it falls out. Exit replay. So it works. So far. We have a long way to go. But what we got so far works. All right. So that testing that we just did and the attaching, that was segment 5, panel 4. So now we're looking for segment 5, panel 5. And that's just what we already did. There's nothing new there. So segment 5, panel 6, what is going on there? It looks like they're adding a lot of pieces. 39, 40, 41, and 42. And then probably some second floor is going to attach to those pieces. 39, 40, 41, and 42. So they're going to go in order. Is it like 1, 2, 3, 4? Is it that easy? I believe it is. I also think I just got a splinter. So 39 through 42, that's 4 more pieces. That's 69 pieces. Where are these pieces? Oh, they're on this dark color board that's impossible to make out the numbers. All right, what do we got here? Okay, anyone see 39? I see 41. So they're probably all on this board. I see 40, 39. So I see 39, 40, and 41. And I see 42. There's 42. All right, so let's get these pieces out. Probably should keep them in order, even though I'm punching out the 40 first. But I'll just remember, so this is 40. And then I'll put 39, 41, 42. So this one over here is 42. Probably would have made more sense to punch them out in order. But at least if I line them up in order, that's really important. All right, this sort of big piece here is 39. It's like the double looped piece. Can't really mistake 39 for anything else. It's a tough piece to get out because of that double loop. And they're all 4 of these are like long skinny pieces, which are the type of pieces that get broken when you're punching them out. 39, 40, 41, 42. So I believe this is 41, right? Yeah, that's 41. All right. There it is. All right. 39, 40, 41, 42. I believe it's going to go. Let me get this set up the same orientation as them. 39, 40, 41, 42. So basically they go in order clockwise, but I'm going to spin it around because it's just easier for me to see. And while I put these together, I'll tell you a funny story that I heard today. It's not even a funny story. It's like a funny reality. Let me start with a couple of weeks ago when I saw a documentary about a guy they called Johnny Football, which I'm not even a big fan of his. I think he's like a guy who crapped out of the NFL, but I think he won a national championship when he was in college. Anyway, I forget his name. It was Johnny Football, they called him. And I was watching this documentary, and it was before college athletes could get paid. So he would get paid basically for autographs. He would go and sign a bunch of autographs. I don't know if these people really needed his autograph or if it was just a way to get him pay. But one of the arguments in that documentary that I saw about this Johnny Football was that like they were selling thousands of his T-shirts for his game jerseys for like $60 a pop or something like that, and he didn't see any of the money. So that's why the NCAA now, you can get money. I don't know exactly how the rules work, but it's like the athlete has to be named. So it's like if you sell a T-shirt with that athlete's name on it, the athlete gets the money. So the idea was, the athletes are getting ripped off. They should get paid for those shirts because people want to buy shirts, right? But what I heard today, and it actually was the team that I follow, it's from a mainstream newspaper, and it was about the team that I just happened to follow anyway. I don't know if other teams do the same thing, but basically the athlete on the team had not a T-shirt. Well, I'm sure he also has shirts with his name and number, but like some local cafe was selling a breakfast sandwich with his name on it, named after him. So like every time you buy a breakfast sandwich, he gets money. I don't know exactly how it works, but that was interesting, I thought, because they didn't have to name like a breakfast sandwich after him. It almost seems like the most convenient way like to get money to him, because you can buy a breakfast sandwich like 5 days a week, and if he gets like a quarter every sandwich, that could add up. I don't even know. Maybe he gets more than a quarter. All right, so that was segment 5-6. Let's see what segment 5-7 looks like. Does it look like anything? I think it's just a QC. We're actually moving on to segment 6-1. So, using our numbering system, that's a 601. Stands for segment 6, panel 1, and looks like we're going to start putting the tracks on this thing. It actually looks very busy. I kind of wish that was like 3 panels, but we'll get it done. So what do they got there? 43 is like the main length of it. I think I'm going to drag these out piece by piece. And then I'm going to put it together and call them 602 because there's so much going on here. So 43, now we're up to the 70th piece. Let's find 43. I know it's more efficient to pop all the pieces out, But I need to stay. I'm going to get like confused if I don't take my time with this. All right. So here's 43. It's right there. It looks like 47 looks a lot like 43, but I don't know when we're going to use 47. Maybe it's going to go like as a top rail on top of 43, or maybe it's going to go on the other side. I don't know. For now, we're just popping out 43. And it's, again, a long, skinny piece. Probably all of these rail pieces are going to be long and skinny. That's the nature of them. So they're going to be very tricky. This, I think whether or not you complete this puzzle might come down to whether or not you could pop these pieces out without breaking them. Because all these rails are long, skinny pieces, and those are the pieces that break the most. All right, we got out 43. Should have had on camera 3 to watch that fall out. Well, sometimes when this is camera 3. Sometimes when I'm punching a piece out, I'll go to camera 3, thinking it's going to like fall dramatically, and it never happens when I have that camera on. If I'd have had it on that time, it would have happened. All right, so there's 43. And now there's 3 pieces on top, and those are 2 46s and 44. And those are going to get pinned in with 45s. I'm going to count the 45s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I've counted that correctly, we need 7 45s. So 77 pieces. All right, so where are these 45s? I can't even tell if they're red or brown at this point. I think this is the 45s, so they're red. You see that 45 there? So we need 7 of them. They're in 2 packs, that kind of 4 packs. All right, I'm going to knock out exactly 7, because we're probably going to need the others for somewhere else. All right, so what do you think about the athletes, the college athletes getting paid? I kind of think, honestly, it makes me want to watch the Ivy League. I, in general, am not a fan of the Ivy Leagues. Probably the only thing I like about the Ivy Leagues is the sports, because they're actual students. Like the school I went to, they only, I mean, maybe it's different for like a practice player or a local player, but in terms of like players that they draft, recruit, and give scholarships, they only look for players that want to be professionals. Hold on a second. So we also need pieces, 2 46s and a 44. So now we're up to 80 pieces. So, I mean, I was MVP there, but of the track team. The track team is not, I don't think they even recruit, and they're not looking for like pro athletes. I mean, they're more like call them up once you're ready, like going there type of program. All right, there's 46s here. In fact, there's multiple 46s. We need 2 of them. So, but the basketball program, they're only looking for players who want to go pro. And they do. All the players go pro. In fact, there was a few years ago, there was a year, the year that they were canceled because of COVID, they like somehow accidentally had one of the best teams in the country. They'd won like their last 12 games going into the finals, going into the postseason, and I actually thought they were going to be national champions, even though they're normally a team that would get like a 16 seed in the tournament. They had Jalen Pickett at point guard, who's a pro player. And he was like All-American, like I think he was like first team All-American last season with Penn State or UPenn or something like that, some type of Penn. But he played the previous 3 years at Siena, and that's the team I'm talking about. And they had Elijah Burns, who'd played his whole career. Right now I'm looking for piece 44. Who'd played his whole career at Notre Dame and then came back to Siena because he was from that area. So he had like 1 year of eligibility left because he got through his grades very quickly, and he came back. So they had an first team All-American point guard, and they had a quality interior player. And then they had Jordan King, which was this local player, like from like 10 minutes from the school, who now he scores like 40 points a game. So in a tougher conference. So that was like kind of luck. Like, in fact, all three of those guys were from that area. So it's almost like if this team could get the top players from their area, they would be really good. And then they had another guy. He was, I think his name was, I forget what his name was. I can't remember it. But he was some guy who was described as like under-recruited. He came from California. He played in some Adidas tournament. I think Siena was the only one who offered him a scholarship, and he took it. And this guy was so athletic. I wish I could remember his name. I got to look it up. But basically, he started the season not playing. And then, I don't know, he got like a minute of play, like a few games in. And then he started getting more and more minutes. And then he was a starter by the end of the season. And he was like freak athlete. He like learned to play as the season was going on and became this like unstoppable force. So like by the end of the season, he was basically like an all-conference player. Like beginning of the season, nobody knew anything about him, you know. Not that they didn't know about him. Like, I think he didn't even really know how. I mean, he played in this Adidas eyeball tournament, so I guess he was on someone's radar, but we were the only ones who offered him a scholarship, and he ended up being an amazing player. So, like, Elijah had won his last year of eligibility. Pickett went on to UPenn. I think they had another... Who was it? I mentioned King. I forget who all the people were, but it was like they had this insane like coincidence of talent all show up for one season, and they won like 12 games in a row leading up to the start of the COVID lockdown, and I thought they looked unstoppable. I thought I was predicting them they would win the national championship, which is like a bold prediction for a school that was probably going to be a 16 seed. It would have been the most amazing like tournament run ever, but COVID stopped the season. I don't know what would have happened. Who knows? Maybe they would have lost the tournament and nothing would have happened. You know, that could happen. You have a bad shooting night. But they did have an amazing team, and it would have been great to see what they could do. But I just started to tell that story to say that they have players that go on to be pros. In fact, one player who did play in the NBA ended up going to, I think it's the CBA, and he was the MVP of the CBA. And another player who actually went to the same high school as me and then the same college, and he ended up being MVP of the Japanese league. He played on the championship team and won the MVP. And that was the same thing with the other guy in the CBA. So, like, we have players who are not only playing as pros, but they're, like, winning MVPs and winning championships. But somehow, we don't have any NBA players. But we do have all pro players. And that's... So even though I watch their basketball games, in general, I'm not a fan of the college athletes focusing on sports as a career. Then it becomes almost like a minor leagues for the pros. And I think the problem with that is it takes the opportunity away from the kids who are going to school to just get 4 more years of having fun playing a sport. And I know you might think like, well, why is that important? Well, because they're only going to be that young once in their life. And I think they should get to play sports for 4 more years. But you might say, well, but what about their grades? What if they focus on sports? Which I would counter with, they're going to have like 40 years to learn their career job. It's, no matter what you do in college, you always learn your job on the job. Like college has never prepared someone like 100% for their job. You always learn it when you're actually doing it. So I don't think you're missing anything if you play sports in college. All right, so we can call this now 602. There's a couple of blank spots here, but that's 602 for you. All right, let's take a look at 603. How did this scoreboard end up off the... Anyway, here's 602. I guess this line is going to take B, D, and C boards. Oh, okay, so there are different boards. So these boards are D and C. All right, we're not continuing with the board with the piece of track we just did. We're taking a new piece of track, which involves, this is in segment 6, panel 3. It involves 47 as the base, 48 as the top, and 2 45s. So 4 pieces. That brings us up to 84 pieces. Did I count all of the pieces in the previous section? I have this thought that I didn't count the 3. No, I did, because I went to 7, then I went to 80. All right, so now we're looking for 4 pieces. 47's the main one, 48 is the top, and 2 45s. I'm just going to grab the 45s first, because I know where those are. All right, so there's our 2 45s. I was using the method of putting the 45s in whatever direction fits. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's what I was doing. All right, I don't see the 47 there, so it must be here. Oh, I don't see the 47 here either, which means it was here and I just didn't see it. 52, 53, 47. There it is. It's exactly the piece that we even read this number before. We knew it was 47. Not only that, we just pushed out the 45, which was right there. Wow. Where's my brain today? I'm sure that I'm forgetting a couple of players from that like unstoppable team. I think Manny Camper was another one of the players. But there was another one. I can't remember what his name was. I remember he had the name of like a basketball player in the pros. I think it was Gary something Jr. or something like that. Is there an NBA player named Gary? Not the snail. Someone else. Gary. I don't know. There's an NBA player named Gary, I think. And this guy was like Gary Hall Jr. or something like that. All right, we're looking for piece 48, which is not here. I don't know why I'm staring at that piece. So it must be here, I guess. I feel like neither of those names is right. Gary or Hall. Now I have to look it up. All right. Who in the NBA? Is there a Gary Hall in the NBA? No, there's a swimmer named Gary Hall. But maybe if I type it in, it'll tell me the real player's name. Well, apparently there was once a Gary Hall. And there is a Gary Hall Jr., but neither of these are who we're talking about. So I can't remember them. Is it maybe Peyton? I remember they used to say, like, that he was actually like a no, I think it was no relation. I think last year they had someone who was a cousin of a NBA player, but that guy left too. Gary something. I don't know. I'll have to tell you tomorrow. I can't remember this guy's name. For some reason I thought it was Gary Hall, but maybe it was like something else Hall. Let's see. Let's take out the Gary and just say Hall, NBA. Dante Hall. No, that's not it. Maybe it was the Gary part. And not the Hall part. I feel like that's not right. Like, I would have remembered if the guy's name was Gary. That's, like, not a common name. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Harris. Was that his name? Gary Harris? That could be it. Kind of sounds like a little bit like Hall. Both start HA. Gary Harris Jr., basketball player. Let's see if this is him. Yeah, that's him. It even shows him at Siena Saints. Why would it show him as Saints? So, like, who did he play with after that? Like, because this was years ago. This was 2020. He was playing with the Saints. Yeah, 2020. So, like, where is he playing now? So it shows him as 1 point. Is that points? No, how many points? 19.2. So by the end of the season, he was like a starter. Points were 5.3. That seems low, but I think that's averaged over the entire season. You're going to have to just take my word for it. He was like making, you know how the ESPN, they have that like top 10 plays of the day? He was like getting on it every game they would play. He would be on the ESPN top 10 because he would have like one or two insane plays every game. So yeah, it could be that he was only scoring 10 or 12 points, but he was like, I don't know, what they call it, like maybe an X factor or something like that. He just was like insane. I'm surprised that he's not listed as playing for anybody right now. Like, who does he play for now? We should get him back if he's not playing for anyone else. Let's say what team now? I feel like I should say what team? Orlando Magic? No, that's the real Gary Harris. I'm talking about Gary Harris Jr. Well, we can't figure out who he's playing for. But 3 years ago he played for Siena. And before that, like, no one who knew who he was before that year, and it looks like he's disappeared after that year. But he was pretty amazing. So, yeah, I can't find this guy as doing anything but CalPAC tournament champion. Is this going to be his Wikipedia page? CalPAC tournament champion? What is a CalPAC? That's him, right? So what is he up to these days? Let's see if we can get this like full screen or something. Well, Um, I don't know, some Cal Pack. His airness. That was Jordan's name. I'll tell you though, he is that good. Like if he wants to call himself his airness, I'm not gonna argue with him because he was insane. So what did he like? Maybe sit out a year and now he's back. Maybe he's playing now. Yeah, I don't know who he's playing for, but if he's getting in the game, then he's going to be making ESPN top tens again because he's insane. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. I remember when he started at Siena, he didn't even know how to shoot. He was like throwing line drives every time. By the end of that season, though, he was able to shoot. I don't think he had mastered dribbling yet, but he probably has by now, 2 years later. But at Siena, he didn't. But it didn't matter because he would just like, the ball would bounce off the rim. He'd like fly in from 17 feet away, like catch it in the air and slam it. Or he would just like, he would be basically, he would like not even be involved in the play. And then all of a sudden he was dunking it. Like he just like slipped in there, like jumped over 3 people and like dunked the ball. So I wish him the best of luck. Whatever he's doing now, obviously someone stole him from Siena. The COVID thing was really a bummer. That was a problem, especially for Siena having that like once in a million team. That's like never going to happen again. First team All-American point guard, guy with 5 years experience in the post, this like freak athlete that nobody ever saw before, this other 40-point like Curry type of player that just happened to live like 5 minutes away and didn't have a scholarship. Like that's never going to happen again. I just named you 4 of the 5 starters. And by the way, the 5th starter, he was another 5th-year guy. He'd played like North Carolina for 4 years and then he came back home and played. So it was, yes, very insane team. Who knows what could have been. I almost feel like I want to get one of those quantum computers and just like sim what they would have done. Like what would this team have done if they'd have been allowed to play in the tournament and see what would have happened. Anyway, here's 47, here's 48. We got 2 45s. Let's snap this crap together. All right, I think it just goes like this, right? Yep. There we go. That's it. Very simple. I guess the 2019-2020 Saints. Is that what it was? Like 2020, that was COVID, right? Wow, it seems like that's like at this point like 4 years ago. So how is it that Gary Harris hasn't done anything since then? I feel like he should be in the NBA right now. But then again, the guys he was jumping over were MAC players. Maybe if he, I think that is that the year that Zion Williamson was at Duke. Like maybe it wouldn't have worked playing against Duke. I don't know. All right, 604. Nothing happens in 604. All right, 605. We're gonna clip. So these 2 things that we built, we're gonna kind of like clip them together, I think. Does that look like it's going to go together? Like one goes inside the other? So this was the 47 base. This was, I don't even remember the number, but this was the first one we did. And they're showing like 249s, 50 and a 51, so 4 pieces. All right, so we're up to 88 pieces here. 88 pieces and 605. Segment 6, panel 5. The 249s and the 50 are going to combine together Voltron style into basically one piece that serves the same function that 51 does. So like 51 is going to go here. No, yeah, 51 is going to go here. then the 50 is going to go here, but it needs the help of two 49s. I'm not sure what board. I think, do these all come from... The A board has the 50 and the two 49s. It looks like the C board has the 51. I don't see... Oh, is this the C board? Is that a C there? Okay, yeah. So that's an A. This is a C. So the C board should have the 51. It's right there. And then the A board has two 50s and two 49s. So we're going to see this again. This concept again. So there's the pieces. So they go in like, okay, if you're holding this kind of like an hourglass, the 49s are going to go in perpendicular to the 50. Perpendicular is like a plus sign. Parallel is like an equal sign. All right, so that's it. So that's going to go here, and the 51 is going to go here. So let's do this. There's two connections at the top. It's going to like hang over, if I'm doing it correct. It's like the back connection is going to go in, and then the front one is going to like hang over. Something just popped out, by the way. One of those 45s, was it? I guess it wasn't in that snug. All right. Now, let's connect this one. I think this back one is easier to do because you can see what you're doing. And then once that's on, it'll help guide the second one. Yeah, that's on. I think that's on. Nope, that's not on. Because these pieces are long and skinny, they don't like stay together. All right. That's it. That's what we needed to do. So when we pick up tomorrow, it's going to be 6:06. We're ending at 6:06 on piece 88. Piece 88, yeah. I wish we were a little bit further, but we're not. I could go to 6:07 because actually all you do in this piece in 6:06 is connect it onto the previous construction. Seems like we don't really have a good picture of that. I guess this one's the better picture. So those like rails that we built, not rails, these things, it's going to go on top of that. So I guess we can connect that. Is it kind of slanted the way it goes on? Anyway, then that's it. Then we sign off for the night after that. Okay. Are we connecting to the inside or the outside? All right. Let's start connecting this up and then figure it out. I feel like we should figure it out first, but at the same time, feel confident in this connection, and I feel like once we make the first connection, everything else is going to get a little bit easier, but that's assuming you make the first connection right. If you do the first connection wrong, you're not doing yourself any favors. But I think we got it correct. All right, we already made 4 connections. Now, I think we're not going to connect in the back here. It's like an inch free, but we are going to connect at the front. But there's 2 holes here, and I'm not sure which one to connect to. It's going to be a guess. Actually, it's not a guess. This one's already filled in. This is the only option. This is the only available hole. I'm not going to advance the counter to 607, though that is where we're going to start tomorrow. I'm going to leave it at 606 because it just looks cooler like that. By the way, I just pulled this piece out. So we got to put that back in. Can't leave it out. Why are these pieces, how come they don't fit more snug? Like I had both pins in. Some puzzles you do, they're like so snug that you can't get them in. And then other ones, they're loose. Maybe I put them on the wrong way and that's why they're loose. That just went all the way through. Okay, yeah, that definitely was incorrect. Alright, so. Can this go in the other way? It's gonna be really snug that way. But the one way is too loose, the other way is too snug. It's like, where's the Goldilocks connection? Alright, that's in. It's so dark, I can't see what I'm doing. Alright, if I use my left hand, then I probably can see. And so can you. Basically, the light gets in there. Alright, that's in. Okay, let's test out the ball again. Let's see what happens here. Got the lights on this time. Alright, I'm going to put the ball in at the bottom. I'm going to turn the crank. And we're going to see what happens. I think I turned the crank the opposite way of before, but I don't think it matters. That was pretty cool. Alright, let's do that again. Let's turn the crank the other way this time. Alright, now we're going the other way. Alright, I think there's supposed to be more stuff in between the top and bottom, but maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, we're building something. I mean, stay tuned and we'll build more. Let me just see if there's anything, chat questions to answer. No, there's not. I'm John Rapp. This is Just Rest Your Eyes. Good night, and see you tomorrow.